All right, welcome back. This is Trading Rolly. Today I'm going to do a quick market wrap up on all markets. We'll look at Bitcoin first, then we'll take a look at the cryptocurrency market with the altcoins, and then I'll take a look at some of the stocks. With the vaccine, we have seen the Dow moving up and the NASDAQ moving down. Bitcoin has been holding strong. So all of these markets are moving actually differently. They're not all moving up and all moving down. So it's definitely interesting to take a look at. So we'll do a quick breakdown, TA, technical analysis of each of those. Go ahead, hit that like, subscribe, tick the bell for notifications. Remember, these are my own ideas and opinions on the market. So please do your own research and trade at your own risk. Bitcoin on the weekly has been putting in just one green candle after another. The only thing I can say is we are a bit extended from this pink 10 simple. You can see even on this run up here in 2017, Bitcoin's price likes to stay close to the pink 10 simple and the yellow 21 EMA on the weekly chart, using them as support. You can see each time it gets a little extended, it'll come back and bounce off of one of those. So could we see, a bit of a pullback down there, or a consolidation and allow these to catch up? Or, with all the Bitcoin billionaire hype each week, maybe we just keep on pumping. So that looks good there. Let's look at our stochastic on the weekly, still pointed up. You have hit overbought on the RSI, but as I've been saying, there's plenty of room to go if we're bullish, and we definitely have been bullish. So I wouldn't say the RSI is screaming pullback. But, if you add this with some of the other indicators, maybe you will see something. But for now, we're still putting in an uptrend on the RSI, uptrend on the weekly chart. So all of that looks bullish. Going down to the daily. The daily maintaining above that pink 10 simple support all the way up. You wick down below but close back above, wick down below, closed above. And when you had that pullback from 16,000, you bounced right off of the pink 10 simple, and the pink 10 simple still rising, putting in a potential little symmetrical triangle. We'll see that maybe on the 4-hour. Your stochastics on the daily are dipping down, so we'll keep that in mind. And your RSI, is hanging out in that overbought territory. Doesn't have to mean we'll come down, but we're just aware of that, right? And more importantly, I was looking at that 16,000, 16,150 to be exact as a resistance, and we pretty much nailed that a few days ago. And then we had 13,880 as a support zone. And we also had this rising channel as a support. So once we broke it as resistance, we actually retested it, flipped it as support. So that was bullish to see. If we come down any further, you have the pink 10 simple on the daily at 14,937. Your yellow 21 EMA 14,160. So I'd say anywhere in this region here would be fair game if we're not able to break that 16,000. Where did that 16,000 come from? If you go back to the weekly, using those weekly candles, you can see previously, let me get rid of that. The weekly candle close there was at 16,150, and that gave me my target. So this was my first target using 13,880. We hit the resistance there, broke above it, hit that next target. If we can break this 16,000 level, we have 18,950 was the highest weekly close we have ever seen. So that's where I'm getting those targets to the upside. But everything looks bullish, still in the bulls' favor. Let's look at maybe the Bollinger Bands just to be curious. Your support on the Bollinger Band now at 14,154, lining up perfect with that yellow 21 EMA. The middle BB is the 20 simple. So the 20 simple and 21 EMA usually pretty similar there. All right, and just real quick, we'll go to the 4-hour. Take a look at what's going on. Your 4-hour snaking around the middle BB. Your upper and lower bands converging. Often when they converge, that's when you might see another large price move, but the 4-hour is above that middle BB. Let's see what the moving averages are showing. And you're above all major moving averages. Came down, retested that 50 simple. Let me throw on the 200 simple real quick, as well as my 200 EMA. So your 4-hour 200 EMA support is way down here at 13,300. But you can see how we bounced off on the 4-hour blue 50 simple a few times there, bounced there, and that support is at 14,877. Your stochastic was rising, but if we get a nice move higher, you'll see that cross back up, and your RSI is in the neutral zone. I've been saying this for a while. I wouldn't be shorting an uptrend. Don't fight the trend. The trend is your friend, as they say. We'll have to see. I'm looking at this as a potential, let's say, maybe like an ascending triangle could potentially form here. As long as you maintain that uptrend there, and you have, we have a flat resistance right there. So filling out a potential ascending triangle, which is a bullish pattern as well. Okay, so we've been consolidating on Bitcoin. What this has allowed, after Bitcoin ran up, this has allowed the altcoins to make a move because they have been lagging. Bitcoin dominance on the daily had hit that stochastic high up there, and your RSI was overbought. So I was anticipating last week that maybe the dominance had topped out. And if the dominance topped out, we were around here, and Stokes came down, the RSI came down, you would see the dominance fall. And with the dominance falling, we have seen the altcoins rising. Okay, so this is everything that I was looking forward to seeing, and is happening. So before I go to individual altcoin charts, let's look at the overall altcoin market. So this is the crypto market minus Bitcoin, and you're putting in, a potential ascending triangle here as well. Haven't quite broken out, but we're on the verge, I would say, on the verge. So you have that rising support, and you have a horizontal resistance. This is also a bullish pattern, and I was looking at a potential zone around here. Just, this previous, sorry, one second, let me draw a little rectangle of resistance. Something around there. I'm looking at 220 to 250 billion in the altcoin market as my next target for altcoins. Basically, you could do a little bull flag, breakout to there. So you had your pull up, and then you take that pull up and measure it from here, and you have another pull up. Okay, so that's where that would take us if we do break from this pattern here. Everything looking good, and that's about 100 billion. That if we do achieve this, that would be 100 billion entering into the altcoin market. And let's look real quick at some of these altcoins. The altcoin market, your top 10 Cardano is at 3 billion. If you go down a little further to something like Uniswap, number 34, Uniswap is at 600 million. So if you have 100 billion go into the alts, you're going to see some 10x's happening, I'm sure, in some, especially the mid caps. But your larger cap altcoins could easily double, if not like 3x, 4x. Polkadot's at 4 billion. Chainlink's at 5 billion. So it depends, where all of that money spreads around. But I could see at least a 2x for some of these larger cap altcoins, and then potentially you could see a 10x from some of the mid caps. So also real quick, DeFi total value locked USD in DeFi hitting an all-time high, looking good as well there. Just hit 13 billion. Let's look at some charts real quick. Moving along. It's been 10 minutes. Perfect. Let's go to the altcoins. Go ahead, hit that like for me one more time. Ethereum potentially breaking out of its own ascending triangle. You can see these patterns play out all across the board. Is it an ascending triangle or is it a symmetrical triangle? This actually looks more like on the 4-hour a symmetrical triangle, and getting that nice 4-hour candle break above. You still have a little less than 2 hours on this 4-hour candle here. But if you do confirm that breakout close above, you could potentially have a retest of this trend line. So a breakout, retest, bounce, or maybe we just march our way up. Let me zoom out on Ethereum, get a better look at what's happening here. So you could see there was resistance on the weekly chart back 2017, flip support, resistance. We broke above, that was nice, and then almost dipped down beneath. You were just snaking around it, but once again, bouncing off of it as support, and now you're putting in a higher weekly candle close above this range here. You can see this past weekly candle was a higher close than the previous, so the highest of 2020. And I have a peak here. I like to use my peaks and troughs as targets, and that's all the way at 800. Doesn't have to happen immediately, but that would be the overall target. You can see, we're hitting this little trading range here. You could use a rectangle for that right here. That's pretty much the resistance we're looking at now. We're right in the midst of that. So if we can break above that level, I would say, if you break above 500 on Ethereum, we're at 464, 800 would be the next midterm target, possibly. Okay, so your weekly crossed up on the Stokes, looks good to go. Let's look at the daily real quick. Your daily Stokes are up, haven't crossed down, and breaking out of this little symmetrical triangle, looking good. If you wanted to do a bull flag, we could do a bull flag just to see where that would take us on this move here. And you see how that close, that daily close above that resistance I had shown previously. I showed that we broke that resistance with a nice daily close above, and then we've had this rally. So we'll take that to there, drag it up. That'll take us to about, where is this? 5, I can't see it. Let me take it off of auto so I can see a little better. And that's about 528. That would put in a new high on the year for Ethereum. You can see how Ethereum hit the top of that rectangle there, which extends to the top here. So you can see this is how we find our resistance levels and supports using previous price history. So everything on Ethereum looks good to go in my opinion. Litecoin hit this yellow resistance. We're still putting in lower highs on Litecoin, so we still need to break that structure. Some of the altcoins look better. Litecoin has maybe some potential with that PayPal listing, but you can see how this line here was resistance, 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 and resistance once again. So Litecoin currently at 60, needs to break above 65, and then my target is around 81, that previous peak, and then 139. Cardano on the daily, let's look at maybe my moving averages. Above all moving averages, so looks good on the daily. And your stochastic crossed up from the bottom, looks good. You are looking at some resistance here on Cardano, right around the 11-cent range. Need to break 11 cents. If you can break 11 cents, I would say we would come back probably to retest 14 cents on Cardano. XRP, also above all moving averages, and looking at resistance at the 25 cents range, 26 If you can break above that with your stochastic still crossed up, your next target would be 30 cents. 30 cents looks to be an important resistance level as well. And XRP also putting in those lower highs. So like Litecoin, it needs to break those lower highs on the macro to get bullish. Break above 30 cents, you have resistance, resistance, resistance. So XRP needs to break above that. Link, real quick. Link is a little more bullish than some of the others, putting in lower highs, or sorry, higher highs, a low, higher low, higher low. Almost lost that structure here, but overall we can say this is obviously in an uptrend. Your stochastic pointed up on the daily, above all moving averages, I'm sure. Let me get rid of that. And looking to potentially test higher to $16, previous peak, and then $20 would be the next target if we can continue this bullish momentum in the altcoins. Band finally broke above all moving averages on the daily. This is the little brother to Link. Okay, so you know the thing, we were being held down, resistance by that yellow 21 EMA, broke beneath all moving averages on the daily, but bouncing above all moving averages on the daily is actually a pretty bullish potential signal. You know, I was saying I had a kind of a, not a bearish, but a neutral altcoin video a couple weeks ago where I was saying, where will I look to buy in possibly? This is not financial advice. I'm not saying to buy Band necessarily, but it was just a statement in general on altcoins. And I said I don't like it under the yellow 21 EMA. I wanted it to be back above all moving averages, something like that. And we are now getting that. So hopefully we can get another run up like that previous one on Band and some other altcoins. You can see that probably on Tezos has been struggling actually this year after a pretty nice run up to August, has come down significantly. You're back above your daily 50 simple, but still beneath that 21 EMA. So XTZ Tezos at $2.20. Your next resistance target would be 245, then 269. You want to see Tezos get back above all of those. Real quick, Polkadot. Polkadot looks decent above all moving averages, but you've seen that this happened twice and got rejected both times. So we want to break above this rectangle resistance box that I created here. So we had that little trading range, and this is where we were rejected from. So you're going to need to break above that. But you can see Polkadot has put in a nice floor in this $4 range. So a lot of accumulation potentially on Polkadot if it can break higher and, you know, put a daily candle. We're looking to put in a potential daily candle above this previous one. This closed at 459. We're at 462. So I'd like to see a daily candle close above 459 and then kind of march up this way using these moving averages as support. Looks good though. Kasuma is in the Polkadot ecosystem and looking a little bit more bullish than Polkadot even. You can see now possibly if we can get a daily close above this one. This was at 35.47. We're at 36.79. So a close above that top there would be putting in a potential uptrend for Kasuma. So a high, higher high, a low, and potentially a higher low if we can bounce off of that support. And then I'll wrap it up with YFI and Uni on the altcoins. YFI bounced hard. Look at that. And back above all moving averages. So you broke above the pink 10 simple, you hit that resistance there on yellow 21 EMA, then you hit resistance on the 50 simple, came down, retested the yellow 21 EMA and bounced, closed above the blue 50 simple. So everything for YFI is moving in the right direction. I would say, you know, you're going to have resistance around 21,000, let's say. Basically, that was the support on this head and shoulders formation. You had support around 21,000, so we could see that flip as resistance. You break above that, we could be even more bullish on YFI. But if you zoom out and we get rejected and it comes back down this way, that will be a high, lower high on the macro. So YFI still has some proving to do, but the daily breaking above and closing above those moving averages, nice step in the right direction. And similar with Uni, you had that resistance on the yellow 21 EMA and nice close above it, wick down, closed back above, and then we hit my $3.22 target using the 50 simple. So next we want to see a close above that, and then you have, I would say, resistance around 347, that top there, and maybe we could even draw maybe a line there, support, bounce, possible flip resistance around $3.92. All right, so you can see basically when I do these quick breakdowns how I use my moving averages and horizontals as resistance and support targets, and then using symmetrical triangles and ascending triangles at formations, as potential hints in the direction that we're going to go. Okay, so that is the altcoin market. All right, where are we at? 21 minutes. Okay, so I'm not going to spend too much time on stocks, but I do want to touch on it real quick because we were looking at a potential, breakout on the NASDAQ. Was looking really nice on Sunday, even before we had the Pfizer news. We could see the futures was way up here, looking good. And then with Pfizer vaccine, we saw a lot of the stay-at-home plays, especially a lot of the growth stocks, a lot of the big tech stocks. They all took a tumble, and then the value stocks actually have been on the rise. So looking at this symmetrical triangle, you didn't even get that daily close above. It was looking pretty good, but you got rejected there and closed back beneath. So do the tech, the tech stocks, which NASDAQ is primarily tech stocks, it could fill out the symmetrical triangle possibly. I'm still bullish overall on tech, and you can see even getting a little bit of a bounce there. Let's look at your Stokes are rising on the daily. This is the futures chart, okay? This is the futures. Your 4-hour is way down here, possibly getting across up. You could see a nice rally maybe in the tech stocks because a lot of these tech stocks are going to be here to stay for the future. I mean, if you're talking about FANG, Apple, Amazon, Facebook, Google, they're not going anywhere. But we saw a bit of a rotation from tech to value, and that's basically because a lot of the value stocks, a lot of the financials, your leisure stocks with travel stocks, hotels, cruise ships, airlines, they've all been beaten down badly by COVID, but the internet or the tech stocks have been going up, and they've gone on huge rallies. Some of these tech stocks like Zoom have gone up so high, they look like altcoins in the crypto market. So I think it's more of a take profit time for some of the growth, move that profit into the beaten down ones that may potentially have a nice rally now that COVID is starting to be less scary. Now, the issue is this vaccine, when will we actually get it? There's still some unanswered questions. A lot of us may not have an opportunity to get the vaccine for another 6 months. So I wouldn't be too quick to rush all the way into airlines, all the way into cruise ships or banks. But you are seeing a bit of a rotation, taking profits from, those growth stocks that have gone up tremendously and move them into some of the stocks that may rise on good news about vaccines. So basically, let's look at the NASDAQ had a drop here. We were looking at a potential breakout, and you were looking at that breakout on NASDAQ, but the news changed things. Let's look at the S&P 500. S&P 500 had the breakout, got pulled down a bit because a large percentage of the S&P is made up of the FANG tech stocks, so that kind of brings the price down a little bit, but you're bouncing off of that resistance, that upper resistance there. So you have resistance, 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 breakout, retest, bounce, potential rise. Like I said, NASDAQ might look like it could rally, possibly, just looking at the futures chart, possibly rally tomorrow, and possibly the S&P bounces off of that resistance, gets a little rally, because like I say, the S&P is made up of a lot of tech stocks, not as many as the NASDAQ. So we saw the NASDAQ fell, S&P kind of held flat, and our Dow Jones, which has a lot more of these beaten down stocks, had a huge breakout. I can draw kind of a resistance there, huge breakout. We'll have to see what happens with the Dow. There could be some profit taking, possibly, or maybe it continues to rally. Maybe we just get an all market rally, which wouldn't be weird. I mean, all year we've seen pretty much the NASDAQ, S&P, Dow Jones all move up together, all move down together. So this was the first time we've seen a difference in those. So maybe NASDAQ has a big day, S&P a good day, and Dow Jones moves up a little as well, but not as much as those. Or who knows? They all just dump. Something big could happen. Maybe I don't know, something in politics. You never know. But right now, let me look at the futures on. So futures on Dow Jones is also rising. So like I said, they could all continue to rise. Let's look real quick. I'll show you gold. Gold. Wow, that was good thing this wasn't Bitcoin. What a drop. This was crazy. So gold, is definitely a play for those, it was kind of a pandemic play. You had this huge run up here. This was, let me go out to the daily. You had that big dump off the Black Swan, and then it rallied hard, but has pretty much been kind of a slow bleed since that huge run up in August. And then with the vaccine, it dumped. Bitcoin maintained. So maybe Bitcoin is more exciting. We've been seeing people talk about, I forget if it was JP Morgan. I think it was JP Morgan. They said they've seen a lot of people that hold gold ETFs actually moving into Bitcoin. So maybe, the asset of choice, if you're doing a hedge, that was the word I was searching for, a protection, a hedge against, equities or the dollar. Gold was that choice. Let's look at but Bitcoin is doing better. I don't know where I'm going with this. I'm basically just comparing the two, looking around. The dollar index is, so maybe gold could perform and rally if the dollar index loses this 92 level. You can see it's been flirting with this as a support. This is a daily chart on the dollar index. You can see it bounced support, bounced support again. But if it loses that 92 and comes down any further, you're going to see possibly gold will rally at that point. This will also be good for equities. And, it's interesting. Gold has been moving more like a risk on asset. It actually dumped with Apple, Zoom, the tech stay-at-home stocks. They all dumped. So gold has moved more like a risk on stay-at-home COVID play, almost like it was a Peloton or something. It's interesting to see the dynamics shifting and changing. And just to outline this change and trend, okay, almost 30 minutes, I'll just show you a tech stock and I'll show you some of the value plays, okay, to compare those. Go to my equities. You can see, so we'll use this. This is a mega cap value ETF. something, and you can see a lot of the charts look like this, whether it's Coca-Cola or it's Boeing, or some of the financials, they never surpassed their all-time high like the tech stocks Nasdaq did. They all have been below, and they've been chopping down here, but you can see a nice breakout above that resistance level. So we'd like to see the value ETF stay above that level. You can see that similar with Boeing. Boeing had this downtrend, a nice breakout above as well. I mentioned Coca-Cola randomly. So you can see been chopping here and a nice breakout above. So some of these guys who just been, sitting down in the dumpster for a while, they had a nice rally. We'll have to see, if that continues. This just could be over exuberance from the vaccine, but like I said, the vaccine can still be some time away, and the COVID numbers hit 130,000 in the United States. So we're seeing record numbers daily. Hopefully we don't get a lockdown. So we have, stuff like Zoom taking a dump. So with the vax taking a big dump, poo poo. This was a stay-at-home play, and look how much it's rallied, guys. I mean, it's up ridiculous amount. So people are also taking profits. It was up. Can I see this? It was up 775% this year, basically. Over 700% from the beginning of January. So people are taking profits. Fair enough. How far will this go down? I don't know. The daily already hitting that oversold. Your Stokes are low. Could we get a little relief bounce? It's possible. Zoom is a company that probably will stick around. I don't think it's just going to disappear. And this is something you could argue about a lot of the stay-at-home stocks that, yeah, they're taking a tumble, but COVID isn't over yet. And, some of these things that COVID has introduced to us, like these online meetings, I don't think they're going to completely go away. So maybe after Zoom breaks down, consolidates, accumulates, it could have another run in the future. It's not something I want to be holding like this week, but there could be an opportunity to buy in down the road, because I think, it's easier to have a Zoom meeting internationally than it is to get on a flight, right? So there's some things about these COVID plays that I think are here to stay, okay? So where am I going with this? I think that they are tumbling off of the news, but people will realize that COVID will be here. It could have a nice little relief rally. People could take profits from the banks. There could be some chop, both in growth and value. We'll just have to see. We'll stick with the charts. I think the charts offer up the best analysis, sometimes better than the fundamentals. This is the PE ratio is ridiculous on Zoom. So if you are just looking at fundamentals, valuation of the company, there is no reason it should have gone this high. But if you were just looking at the chart alone, you can see that it was maintaining the support above your moving averages. And now you're beneath that blue 50 simple. All right. So your support could be all the way down at 250. If you look at your, Fibonacci, if you look at the Fibonacci, there's also plenty of room to go to the downside as well. Your 0.5, that's 324. Your 0.618 Golden's at 260, where that trading range is as well. So you could potentially bottom out around that 250, 260. So that we're seeing a price range here. And you can see how I've shown you on all of these charts. I use price ranges as potential resistance and support levels. So you have that. You have your golden fib here. And then you also have your 200 simple on the daily lining up. So you're seeing confluence. So that's why I personally got out of Zoom yesterday. I got out of it, and maybe I'll revisit later, but I think it's too soon to jump into some of these that have dumped. But if NASDAQ, has a nice rally tomorrow, maybe you'll see a nice little relief. But what could easily happen is you would get something like a bounce and then a rejection and come back down and start putting in a downtrend of lower highs. So guys, lots of possibilities, but by breaking down all of the different charts, you can use these for your own personal technical analysis on your favorite chart. All right, it's been a lot. Thank you. If you've been watching to the end, leave me a comment, let me know. And thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.